The first message came at 2:13 a.m., but Maya didn't know that yet. She only saw it hours later, standing in Daniel's office with his phone in her shaking hand, scrolling past "Last night was perfect" and "She'll never love you like I do," until she reached the line that made her vision blur. "Delete this when she finds out about the baby." He'd left his phone behind rushing to a client emergency, and Maya had picked it up to call him back when she saw the name Elias and a heart emoji lighting up the screen. The messages went back months. Secret hotels. Dinners she'd never questioned. And screenshots of her own bank statements, documents from the locked drawer in her desk, things only she and Daniel should have known existed. Then she found the line that stopped her heart: "If she sees the transfers, we're done." Transfers. She thought of the late nights Daniel claimed were investor calls, the way he'd flinched when she mentioned the upcoming company audit, the small accounting errors she'd dismissed as software glitches. The front door clicked downstairs. Her body reacted before her mind caught up. She locked his phone, placed it on the desk, and stepped into the hallway with seconds to decide who she was going to be. "Maya?" His voice floated up, too casual for the panic clawing at her throat. She forced herself to breathe. "In here," she called, keeping her tone flat. He appeared in the doorway, tie loosened, the picture of a stressed executive, not a man hiding a lover and a financial conspiracy. "Hey, there you are." He moved to kiss her cheek, but she turned her head just enough that his lips brushed her hair instead, and his smile faltered. "You left this," she said, nodding at the phone. He went pale in a way only someone with something to hide goes pale, snatching it up like it might explode. "Did you see anything?" he asked, voice carefully casual. "Should I have?" she replied softly. For a moment, she saw fear bloom in his expression before he forced a laugh. "Just client stuff, you know how sensitive they are." That night, when he left for the office again, Maya made a call. The forensic accountant from the audit firm answered on the second ring. "I need to ask you something off the record," Maya said, gripping her steering wheel. "About Daniel. About transfers." There was a pause, then a quiet response that made her blood run cold. "I was wondering when you'd notice," the accountant said. "You emailed me about flagged transfers 3 months ago. You never replied." Maya hadn't sent any email. Someone had used her name, her credentials, her digital signature to authorize transfers to shell companies she'd never heard of, all timestamped late at night when she was home asleep while Daniel was fixing crises at the office. "Send me everything with my name on it," she whispered. "Right now." 15 minutes later, her inbox pinged. Her name appeared on documents funneling millions out of the company over 18 months. If anyone looked, the story would be simple: loyal CEO betrayed by his reckless wife who secretly drained company funds. The messages she'd found weren't just about an affair, they were evidence of a frame. "Every questionable transfer happens when your keycard is logged out," the accountant said when she called back. "But Daniel's card is present every time." Maya closed her eyes, absorbing it. He hadn't just broken vows, he'd turned her trust into a weapon. "Why didn't you come to me sooner?" she asked. "Because he did," the accountant said quietly. "He told me you were under stress after your miscarriage. That you'd made mistakes. That bringing it to you might push you over the edge." The miscarriage. The grief that still woke her some nights. He'd weaponized even that to paint her as unstable while he tightened the noose. "Don't call him," Maya said. "Don't mention any of this. If he asks, you're still reviewing. What are you going to do?" She stared at her reflection in the windshield. "I'm going to let him think I have no idea," she said. "And then I'm going to make sure the person holding the match isn't him." Over the next week, she played her role perfectly. Laughed at his stories. Asked about the gala. Pretended not to notice how often he checked his phone. She also made quiet moves, met the accountant in a crowded cafe, slid him a flash drive, asked him to download everything off the server that had her name on it. The gala was supposed to celebrate the company's record quarter. According to the messages between Daniel and Elias, it was also the night they planned to finalize everything. Maya stood in front of the mirror as Daniel adjusted his cufflinks behind her. Big night, she said, meeting his eyes in the reflection. Everything's about to change, right? He smiled. After tonight, we'll finally be free. Free. She smiled back, hiding the flash drive tucked in her clutch, copies of every forged signature, every damning text, every piece of evidence. At the gala, Daniel worked the room with practiced ease while Elias arrived late, eyes scanning until they landed on Daniel with a look that confirmed everything. During the speeches, Daniel talked about integrity and family values while the crowd applauded. Halfway through the night, the head of the board pulled her aside into a private room. "We received an anonymous packet last week," he said, placing a thick envelope on the table. "Financial records. Screenshots. All signed by you." Maya kept her face perfectly still. Anonymous packet. Daniel and Elias had moved early, framing her while the spotlight was on their success. "May I see them?" she asked. With each page, she saw the story they wanted believed. Grieving wife becomes erratic, siphons funds, loyal CEO saves the day by exposing her. When she reached the last page, she looked up. "Whoever sent this forgot something important," she said, pulling the flash drive from her clutch. "They forgot to erase their own fingerprints." "What is this?" "Everything," she said. "The original files with server logs. Keycard entries. IP addresses for every forged signature. And messages between Daniel and his partner where they discuss pinning this on me." He stared at the drive, then back at her. "If this is true, careers will end. This company could face a scandal it never recovers from." "This company is already in a scandal," Maya said softly. "The difference is whether it's honest about it." He nodded, slipping the drive into his pocket. "If you go home tonight and confront him, he'll know. He might run." The real twist landed. To bring him down, she'd have to go back to him and pretend she hadn't just handed his fate to his own board. She re-entered the ballroom with a smile. Daniel slid an arm around her waist. "There you are," he murmured. "I was starting to think you'd abandoned me." "Never," she said, leaning into him just enough that he wouldn't see how deliberate it was. The call came 3 days later. "We finished verification," the board head said. "Everything you gave us is authentic. We're convening an emergency session in an hour. I'd like you there as a witness." When Maya walked into the boardroom, Daniel was already seated, looking tired but composed. Elias sat 2 chairs down, eyes flicking nervously. The board head cleared his throat. "We've received serious allegations initially directed at Maya Cole. After investigation, the facts tell a different story. Documents were laid out. For every forged signature with Maya's name, there was a log tying the action to Daniel's device. For every transfer, a message between Daniel and Elias coordinating timing. Elias broke first. "This wasn't my idea," he burst out. "He said it was the only way." Daniel's mask cracked. He turned to Maya, something desperate in his eyes. "This is how you repay me? After everything we built?" "You didn't build this with me," she said calmly. "You built it on me. And you thought I'd never notice." The vote was quiet. Hands raised, titles stripped. By the end of the hour, Daniel was suspended pending charges. In the parking garage afterward, he caught up to her. "Was any of it real?" he asked, voice breaking. "Our marriage?" She thought of their early days before secrets, before he used her grief as cover for his crimes. "Parts were real," she said softly. "That's what made it hurt enough to see the rest clearly." He stepped closer. "You could have come with me. We could have started over with enough money to never worry again." "You were never planning to take care of me," she replied. "You were planning to erase me. There's a difference." For a moment, he looked like he might apologize. But the words never came. Weeks passed. The story hit the news in a sanitized version, but those who needed to know the truth knew. Maya kept her job because the board asked her to stay and help rebuild. One evening, her journalist friend called. "I know the real story is messier than what's public." How are you, really? Maya looked out at the city lights. I feel like I've watched my life end and start at the same time. There are people who'd want to hear your side, her friend said. The human side. Where you realized the person you trusted most scripted you as the villain. Maya was quiet. Maybe someday, she said. Right now, I need to learn how to live a life that isn't built around someone else's narrative. Her friend laughed softly. That might be the start of a better story. One where you're not just surviving the twist, you're the one writing it. Later that night, Maya sat on her bed and opened her phone camera. She recorded a short video, just for herself. My name is Maya, she said softly. I found messages I was never meant to see. I found out I was the villain in someone else's plan. And I'm still here. That's not the end of the story. That's the beginning. She saved the video, a small act of reclaiming the narrative. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the quiet revolution happening in one woman who learned that the real twist isn't a betrayal, it's the moment you realize you get to decide what happens next. If this story made you feel something, if you've ever wondered what you'd do in Maya's place, drop your thoughts below, hit subscribe, and you'll never miss another story where the person who refuses to be written out gets to write the ending.